Right. So, is there anything, honestly, more cringy than sending me 40 bits for the lovely show so far? I'm sorry. I was in the middle of a statement, and then Jamie Lynn Turner dropped 40 bits, and I have to thank them for the 40 bits now. And I figured I would work that in. I feel like kind of an asshole. Anyway, is there anything more cringy than using your children to advertise your stuff? Like when it's political, like using your children for political advertisements. Like, that feels kind of gross and scummy for me, right? Like, there's one thing if you're like a politician and you want to say, hey, I'm a family man, this is what I do, and so you show like your children with you. Like, okay, that's at least somewhat understandable. But then using them to actively market your product, that feels scummy to me. That feels really, really bad to me. But before we get into our conversation about that particular department, I need to go ahead and show you guys some fan art. As usual, this is how we cleanse the brain after all of the bad shit. Because, well, there's quite a lot of it, honestly. Like, really? This platform is toxic. And I've been showing only one piece of fan art because I got thrown off my game by YouTube striking my channel again. So we got our two pieces here. Okay. So, the first piece we have here is from Lily Aaron. They said it was a quick little work doodle, but honestly, this is fucking hilarious. And I quote, "Redeem that Ara. I dare you." I don't know if it was meant to be said in a more cutesy voice than that, but that's the voice that I think of when I see stuff like that. And then from WebSurfer1111, they have... I need to reload it from the beginning. We have Gotcha Deco Suris from Gotcha Life, which I never actually played or did anything with, but apparently there's a whole ass animation here. So we are going to sit through this for just a little bit, and then we will get into the topic at hand. And Ara was redeemed. Oh, these are both the same thing. Hara hara. You perverted gremlin. Honestly, yes, all of you are perverted gremlins. I hope you're happy now. You fucking monsters. Every single one of you. Alrighty. Well, thank you for this one, Web Surfer. I greatly appreciate it. A lot of work went into this animation, I am sure. So thank you so much for dropping that on here. Now, let's get into the Tuttle Twins.
We must seize.
I need to turn off the music in the background because this is a video with music. Let's go.
We must seize the means of production.
Stop it, Vlad. You know the rule. If you want to regulate something, go regulate the mess in your room.
Okay. And it was at that point that Celendrilla drops 10 tier 1 subs. Thank you so much for the subs. Holy shit. That is incredibly generous and incredibly appreciated. And incredibly well timed right after the communism joke. And Jamie Lynn Turner, thank you for gifting the sub as well to Suntrail. Communism sub gift to all. So, for those who watch my channel, you know that I'm not a communist. So, I'm not going to speak about this from the position of somebody who is one. So, if you want that perspective, then you might want to listen to someone else for this particular thing. I need to turn that down. I need to really turn that down. That's, like, louder than I thought it was. And Lulu is very distracting. Thank you, Lulu. Thank you so much. Your laugh is infectious, and there's so much of it. Okay, now, let's go. Need Thought Slime react to Tuttle Twins? Thought Slime would be a good one to react here.
It seems a big part about being a mom these days is helping your kids unlearn the crazy ideas they're exposed to in the world.
Does Peppa Pig promote communism? What? Please, explain to me. Does Peppa Pig promote communism? Is that a thing? John Falon, thank you very much for redeeming your points for an oh wow. Oh well. Yeah, no, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? Peppa Pig communism was a meme, but that's it. Okay, so wait, is this just a response to a meme at that point?
I just found out that if I run into the TV fast enough, I'll become a cartoon.
Nope, that will kill you. And it's not just normal.
Okay, so at least this one is somewhat normal, right? I need to turn that up and turn this down a little bit. But the idea that, like, there's certain things that a kid's exposed to and they might try to do. Okay, cool. I understand that. I remember being a kid and thinking that if I ran back and forth fast enough, I would be able to create 2 identical copies of me. And somehow I got this idea from Cow and Chicken. So, like, I get that, I guess.
Kid stuff either. Now, my kids are being told by the media and even the school system that socialism is great.
That's not socialism. What? That's not socialism, though. That's a hammer and sickle. That's more a sign for communism. That's what? You even had a thing back here that said, you know, communism bad. That's not. Those are not the same thing. For those who don't know, socialism is worker ownership of the means of production. That's it. That's all it is. There are other variations and subcategories there, but, you know, largely speaking, it's just worker ownership of the means of production. Communism, however, is a moneyless, stateless, classless society. That is very different. There are aspects of socialism that are part of communism, yes, but that is not to say that communism and socialism are the same thing. There are still hierarchical classes in many forms of socialism. There's still money in just about every form of socialism, and there's still obviously a state in most of these as well. It's actually universally hard to abolish the idea of a state. So I don't know why conservatives always conflate these. It's just like I have a problem conflating them and ignorant idiots. I have a very hard time distinguishing from these two things, and I don't know what they could possibly do to communicate their message in such a way that I would not conflate these terms.
Mama, if we just get rid of all these successful people, we'll finally be happy.
No, honey, that just means we'll all be poor.
What? Getting rid of individual rich people just makes everyone poor? That doesn't make any fucking sense. Okay, so if we get rid of Walmart and we get rid of Target and we get rid of Starbucks, just take a bunch of those, we get rid of those corporations. What happens? People need jobs, and people, especially if the United States were to actually push for this, would fill in those jobs with mom and pop versions of those stores. A mom and pop grocer, a locally owned coffee shop. You end up getting more stuff that's locally owned. That's what happens there. Now, you end up having issues sometimes with shipping, yes, but this doesn't mean that suddenly everybody becomes poor. You just not having as many rich people does not suddenly make everybody fucking poor. That doesn't make any sense. Moreover, Karl Marx didn't say if we get rid of successful people, everyone will be happy. Karl Marx talked mainly about the different classes of people, the bourgeoisie and the proletariat, and how there is a struggle that is constantly happening between them, how legislation generally is passed via the influence of the bourgeoisie, or just very, very rich people, the rich class, the class that owns the means of production. In order to perpetuate their ownership of that means of production, whether or not they are doing good by the workers that are required to make the means of production function. A factory doesn't function without workers. A factory can function without an owner, because you can have it democratically owned, and at that point you still have a factory that's functioning exactly as it normally did. The single owner is the superfluous piece of this. So that's largely what you get via a Marxian analysis. It doesn't say eliminate successful people. That just sounds like you're taking billionaires and putting them in front of a firing squad.
I want to teach my kids right, but it is so hard to find age-appropriate material to teach them about the principles of freedom.
The principles of freedom? Oh, this is going to be interesting.
Blocks are the supply, and when people want them, that's demand.
Is that what Dad meant when he said you're too demanding?
Okay, that was actually kind of funny. No, that was legitimately funny. I understand that, like, the idea here is to teach a really warped version of economics to a kid, and this looks predatory, and this is really fucking horrible, and, like, all that shit, but that joke right there actually landed for me. I'm sorry. I don't know why it did, but it did. Also, the idea that rich equals successful is bullshit. Yeah, success is largely a self-determinant thing.
Luckily, I now have the Tuttle Twins to help us. The Tuttle Twins is a series of books written for freedom-loving parents that teach correct principles about free markets in clear and relatable stories.
Yes. Remember? Do you guys remember how many times conservatives and like conservative pundits on YouTube yelled and screeched and screamed about kids don't need to be talking about this kind of stuff? Why would you force this stuff on kids? Why would you even make stuff like this for kids? They don't need to be learning about these concepts, and usually it was just like about fucking gay people or some shit. This is that. This is the other horn of that. And it always is. Always. It's brainwashing when the left does it, but when they do it, it's teaching correct principles. Doublespeak is wonderful, isn't it? It's just great.
You know, clear and relatable, so opposite of socialists.
Allow me to tell you about a socialist principle that is clear and relatable. Okay? Have you ever been at a job and felt like you were worth nothing? Felt like you had no stake in the job you were in, so, I mean, really, there was no point in you putting in more effort than the bare minimum? Because you weren't recognized for putting in more, and you just ended up hurting more when you put in more effort, so you realized that nothing changed whether you put in the bare minimum or not. Wouldn't it have been a lot better if you actually had, like, a stake in that company? Wouldn't you have been more compelled to do better? And I'm sure there's going to be some Protestant that's just going to be like, oh my god, you should just feel like work is its own reward. And no, work is not its own reward. Shut the fuck up. Work is fine. It is not its own reward. That idea is used to abuse workers. But anyway, point is, have you ever felt abused at a workplace? Have you ever felt like you didn't have a stake in what goes on there? You just fucking leave and go to a different job. Cool. You know what solves a lot of that? Socialism. You work at a place, you own part of it as one of the workers there. You are given more pay because as a worker, you have the ability to democratically vote on higher wages if you feel like your wages should be higher as a base. Like, what's not clear about that? Workers put in more effort into stuff that they own. People who own their own business generally work harder than employees under them in most cases, unless we're talking about, you know, a super mega ultra rich person that gets to delegate everything. But your regular run-of-the-mill mom and pop person, they work incredibly hard to make their business function because they own it. And if they don't work hard, it doesn't succeed. Until you get to a certain size where you can just delegate all that work onto everybody else. We're not talking about those people right now. What is not clear and relatable about owning your own work? That feels ridiculously clear and ridiculously relatable. As somebody who spent a decade working in retail and the food industry, that's clear to me. It'd be clear to most kids, too. But I'm not here to talk about that.
With over 2 million copies sold, these books are the best way to teach your child real-world topics not covered by most school curriculum.
Mom, I demand cookies. There's no more supply.
Oh. So if you have off...
It's just brainwashing at that point, isn't it? Isn't it? Like, that just feels like brainwashing. Speaking of brainwashing, Senshini, thank you very much for redeeming your points for an ow. Said, have I ever worked in retail? Yes, I have. I was a manager at a QT. I've also worked at Walmart. Like, I've worked in retail. I've also worked as a manager at McDonald's. I've also worked as not a manager in at least 5 McDonald's. I've also worked at Hardee's. I've also worked at Kroger. I have also worked at a call center. I've worked a variety of positions in that area. That's why this is relatable to me. Ran the Fool, thank you very much for redeeming your points for an hada hada. You fucking monster. I demand cookies. There is no supply. Is literally meaningless. Yeah, yeah.
Offspring and don't want them supporting socialism, then click the link and order the Tuttle Twins books today.
So, can you define socialism? Every single time something like this happens, I want them to define it. I want them to tell me what their understanding of socialism is. Because what I tend to find is that the definition that I use that is backed up by, you know, the literature on the topic, that is backed up by, you know, most people's understandings of economics past a 101 and 102 fucking class. These are things that I've discussed with people who actually have like a master's in this. They tend to not know what the fuck socialism is. They literally have the Richard Wolff clip in their head. Yeah, we'll just play it. We'll just play it for you guys. I'm sure everybody already knows exactly what the clip is. But this is most people's understanding of socialism, right? This is exactly what it is. If I can find the... Why can't I find the clip? Socialism is when the government does stuff. There it is. There it is.
Socialism is when the government does stuff. And it's more socialism the more stuff it does. And if it does a real lot of stuff, it's communism.
Thank you, Sock Done Left, for the wonderful meme. Anyway, point is, that is... When I see stuff like this, I generally assume that that's their understanding of socialism and communism as economic principles. It's literally just the government does stuff and they don't like it. Okay, so this is just a cringy advertisement. It's just a cringy advertisement. Okay. Can I do the whole why are you teaching your kids this thing? Because like they fucking do this with LGBTQ shit. Can I do that? Is that a thing I can do? That'd be great. 159 million views. But only 227 likes. Holy shit. I'm not one for argumentum ad populum, but also ratioed. Some real communism is when the government owns everything kind of energy. We'll all be poor, living in a house the bank owns, driving cars the bank owns, filming with equipment on their Amazon card, one hospital visit away from bankruptcy. Hey, let's try to make some money on YouTube. Jesus Christ. Yeah, most people are like a paycheck or two away from homelessness. You realize that, right? Most of America is definitionally poor already. Having the rich people here didn't change that shit. Most of America don't have a savings account that they can utilize. Most of us are literally a paycheck or two away from just being yeeted. So wait, Suris is a communist because he does lots of stuff. Socialism is when Suris does things. And when Suris does a lot of things, it's communism. Yeah. Also, your child advertisers in this video were probably not paid. This is actually unpaid labor. Just throwing that out there. Just throwing that out there. Oh my god. Capitalism is when you have one owner of the means of production. Super capitalism is when you have many owners of the means of production. And mega ultra capitalism is when we all own the means of production. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. Anyway. If you guys enjoyed, let me know over on YouTube whenever this goes up. It's not going up for a while because of the fucking channel strike. Isn't that great? You guys, by the time people on YouTube see this, it will probably be like a week and a half after this was recorded. Anyway, Alpacent, thank you, Alpacent. Thank you very much for redeeming your points for an Oh, if you want to support the channel and what I do, there are ways to do so linked in the description below, both on Twitch and on YouTube. If you enjoy my content, please hit the like button and subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already. Follow on Twitch if you haven't already, and also consider following me on my other projects like Suris and also Sunset City. As always, everyone, insert end of video tagline here.